amazing because it's so loud because the jets.
Because they're so remote. I'll have to ask my husband and my son and see if they know.
Welcome to South St. Paul City Hall and the October 28th, 2019 meeting of the South St. Paul School Board. Wendy, will you please take the roll?
Inspector Diaz?
Here.
Inspector Bjorklund?
Here.
Inspector McClellan?
Here.
Inspector Walker?
Here?
Inspector Arend?
Here.
Inspector Lalaberty?
Here.
Inspector Felton is present, 7 members.
Thank you. Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, once again, thank you for attending tonight. We'll start off with the approval of tonight's agenda, along with the minutes from the previous meetings that have yet to have been approved. That includes the school board meeting agenda for tonight, October 28th, 2019, the committee of the whole meeting minutes from October 14th, 2019, and the regular board meeting minutes from October 14th, 2019. Do I have a motion for their approval?
So moved.
Thank you. Any, or a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed, nay? And that passes, and the agenda and minutes are approved. Jumping into the quality in action tonight, another exciting presentation tonight. We'll have Chuck Ochaki from the secondary, our secondary principal, introducing some guests to talk about the IB design and the IB design program at the secondary building. Thanks for coming out, Chuck.
Hey, thank you. Good evening, Dr. Webb, Board Chair Walker, school board members, and the greater SSP community. My name is Chuck Ochaki, and I'm the proud principal of South St. Paul Secondary. Today, I'm really excited to introduce you to Mr. Gilson, science teacher at the secondary. I'm going to ask Mike to come forward. I'm going to try not to talk a whole lot and actually give the presentation mostly to Mike, but I'm going to tell a quick story about Mike. Mike was a 9th grade physical science teacher for us last year. This summer we had our physics teacher resign to take a position in a district closer to home, and we had our Project Lead the Way teacher resign to take a different position. And I was in a panic. What are we going to do? You know, things happen in mysterious ways, but Mike found me in my pseudo office this summer in the media center and said, can we have a conversation? And I said, sure, let's talk. After our conversation, it was decided that Mike was not, I mean, we talked Project Lead the Way, we talked IB physics, we talked physics. I learned a ton about his background. As we walked out the door, it was great for me to be able to say, we found a new physics teacher, a new IB design teacher to move us into the IB track. And it is my pleasure to introduce Mr. Gilson to the SSP community. So,
Thank you.
yep.
Well, good evening, members of the South St. Paul Board of Education. My name again is Mike Gelson, and I'm the teacher of IB Design and Physics at the South St. Paul Secondary Building. I'm here tonight to give you a brief summary on the newest course offering at South St. Paul Secondary, which is IB Design. This course provides an entry-level study to the design process, entrepreneurship, and innovation for those that are in grades 10, 11, and 12. Since the end of September, students have chosen a problem and have been working towards solving this problem using research, customer discovery, and creating their own prototype to present to stakeholders. What makes this class so exciting to me as an educator is that it provides a perfect vehicle for delivering 21st century skills to our students. As I go on, you will see students have been engaging in work which will develop them in the skills such as problem solving, critical thinking, and communication. Through professional development and partnering with the University of Iowa's Jacobson Institute, we are able to offer students college credit at the end of the term by completion of a portfolio as well as a test. For this presentation, I've asked 2 students to join me. The first is 11th grader Lily Gonzalez, who's been working with her group on reducing traffic collisions due to snow and ice. And Adiana Contreras, a 10th grader, whose group has been trying to solve the traffic congestion of students during the crowded hallways during second period passing time at the high school. First, we must consider, how did these students even come up with these problems? I actually did not identify or even try to influence students in coming up with these problems. I simply asked them to identify 25 problems in their daily life. These students then pitched out these 25 ideas to their fellow classmates, who then formed a group based on their shared common interest in solving these problems. After identifying these problems, the students had to interview 100 fellow classmates or other people they know. Throughout this throughout this customer discovery, the students had to discover if this is even a problem worth solving. After identifying that this problem is shared by others in their community, students had to research, analyze previous solutions, and then communicate with various stakeholders. This led to a development of their own solution to this problem, which is either sustainable or can generate revenue. Finally, they have to pitch out their idea to an audience of stakeholders who will help them solve these problems. Now for the boring educator part. If we consider Bloom's taxonomy, which is a tool that we as educators use to understand the complexity of problems we're asking students to solve, we see that these levels are from the bottom, the least complex, to the top, which is the most complex, which is remembering, understanding, applying, analyzing, evaluating, and creating. As we go up in these levels, students are engaging in higher orders of thinking, from just reciting factual knowledge, such as what's the capital of Minnesota, to a solution to a complex problem. So if we look back at what our innovators have accomplished through the lens of Bloom's taxonomy, we see our innovators have had to remember what causes them problems in their daily lives. They have had to do research to better understand these problems. They've applied that learning to create questions for a successful customer discovery cycle, to better understand if this is actually a problem in their community. Next, they analyzed and evaluated the data they gathered from their customers to guide their next steps in creating, finally, their solution to present to you, stakeholders, in these educational problems we have. And then these problems hope to maximize positive outcomes for not only them, but also for stakeholders involved in solving these problems. Before I go, I'd like to just thank those who have helped make this class a reality, such as Dr. Webb, Mr. Ochaki, Mr. Schmidt, Ms. Miller, Ms. Jeffries, and finally Mr. Anderson at the high school. As we look forward in education, we're going to move away from a classical understanding of education that we all know, such as you learn from the teacher through a PowerPoint, you do the worksheet, you answer a couple lab questions, and you finally do a quiz at the end, to a more problem-based solving education where students identify and solve problems of their interests to better influence their community. I'd like to thank you again for your time and the support that you give us as teachers to continue the great work that we all do at South St. Paul Secondary. Do you have any questions?
I was wondering if the students wanted to
know,
say.
we
Yes.
Yes.
So my next point is I want to bring up Lily Gonzalez, who is going to report on her problem that her group identified and the solution they have been working on. And finally, when Lily is done, I'd like to bring up Adiata Contreras. Thank you.
Great stuff, Mike.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mike.
Awesome. You're welcome to stay up here with them if you want.
Hello, everybody. My name
Evening.
is Lily Gonzalez. I'm a junior at the high school. I'm here today with Mr. Gelson's IB Design class. As a leader of my group, we are called the Icebreakers. So our group, as a raise of hands, who thinks our roads are a problem? Minnesota roads. Unanimous. Okay. So go off my script here. Our group is a 6-person group focused on finding a solution to a never-ending road work, as well as serious injuries caused by car accidents. Our problem statement is that our roads are not fit for Minnesota winters. From 2014 to 2018, over 79,569 crashes were reported, and in that number, over 214 deaths resulted, as well as 20,761 injuries. In 2017, MnDOT, or the Department of Minnesota Transportation, Minnesota Department of Transportation, there we go, scheduled over 253 projects with a $1.1 million budget for construction. We created a survey and had over 70 people participate in it. 100%, like you hear today, agreed that our roads were not fit for Minnesota winters, and that they found we could have a better solution than the one we do now. So our team created a prototype that basically includes heating the roads. Most accidents are reported when cars stop and go and slow down. And because our Minnesota conditions are very unpredictable, we're not always ready and prepared for how to remove the ice and snow from the ground. Excuse me. The cost to heat, other places have implemented heated roads such as Japan and as well as Colorado, more closer. And in Colorado, they had a 3-day storm, and it only took $250 to power a 3-day storm in Colorado. The statistics that I took over as the leader of my group, I took over looking into more statistics of implementing heated roads, would be, so our pavement now is $120 per cubic feet. And to have conductive pavement, it would cost $300. That, as well as rebar, which is sold by 2 feet, depending on where you get it, is 75 cents per the 2 feet that it's sold in. The Minnesota Department of Transportation currently maintains 3,710 miles of road. And that's our solution, our further steps are to talk to you guys, as well as hopefully getting more customer discoveries and other people's input about our prototype.
Can we applaud now?
Yeah.
Very much so.
I have a question
Yes,
too,
of
if
course.
I can, Lily. So were you able to talk to anybody from MnDOT?
Yes, so, would you like to
So,
start?
yeah, so actually, we have somebody who works in safety at MnDOT, but we are actively communicating with them to hopefully get to somebody who actually does the road construction.
That's great. I got a handful of people who work at MnDOT who are from my family, so if you need a name, I can get you
That
one.
would be great.
Yeah, because I
Okay.
mean, what an
That'd be
awesome
awesome.
idea.
Yes.
And wow. Except for maybe they don't want to talk to you because you'd be getting them out of a job.
Yeah, that's one of our main concerns. It's been reported so helpful in other places, and Minnesota being very unexpected. We don't really understand why it hasn't been thought of before,
Yeah.
and so we're just trying to.
So are you looking at the types of heated roads, or are you just proposing we should have heated roads?
Both. So I realize that MnDOT has people for the scientific aspect of heating the roads. So we are mostly proposing to have heated roads being looked into to implement into Minnesota. we have thought about different ways we would get the electricity and such for the heated roads, and the most cost efficient. So implementing heated roads, it would be very expensive, to say the least, in the beginning, but it would pay off over time. With the 3,710 miles that MnDOT alone maintains, that would reduce the plow maintenance, the salt maintenance, and they also use sand as well. So that's a lot of money that's contributed that won't be necessary if we have this very expensive idea in the beginning, and then it floats.
What about the prioritization of the roads that you
Yes. So I had said previously, I think, that when you're on a highway and you skid a little bit, it's not that drastic if you think about it. Like, have you ever slipped on the highway, but it didn't really cause any major accidents? Okay. So it's mostly when you stop and when you slow down, because the traction on the road isn't there due to that layer of ice and snow that's on the ground. So only implementing the heated roads and the heated rebar near intersections such as roundabouts,
Sure.
Stoplights, stop signs, and we also had a idea of surveying each city on problemsome areas and the average accidents reported in each area to kind of better understand the areas and where they're needed.
What a great project.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Lily? Would heated roads be less expensive to maintain?
Yes.
Okay.
Over time, yes.
So your next project might be how to get people to pay it forward.
Yes.
That might be the
Yes.
next question to solve.
And as well as the salt and sand that are used they eventually go into the river. So it's it has a toll on the environment. So having heated roads with solar power, which would lessen the cities, because if you have extra power you would get money back from the energy companies, and there could be other benefits to having a solar powered
Cool.
thing. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Well, as a commuter, the topic really spoke to me. But
Yes.
as a taxpayer, the first thing I thought of is, well, what's it going to cost? So I was really glad to see that
So,
you
yes,
addressed
that's-
address that piece of
in our customer discovery, the main cause of their hesitant, oh, this would be like a great idea, was the cost, and that's why I went specifically into the statistics and the pricing of everything to make sure that it would be the most cost-effective solution.
Well done.
Very good, thank you.
Thank you.
Right here.
Everybody, have a great day.
Thanks, Lily.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so the next person we're going to bring up is Ariana Contreras, who is working on solving the, not traffic congestion, but student congestion in one area of our school during second hour passing time.
Hi, I'm Ariana Contreras. I'm a 10th grader at South St. Paul Secondary. My 7-person group's problem initially was crowded hallways in our school as a whole, but we pivoted, as you say, into just this main area where the problem is most intense, which is this bottleneck area of our school, and from first to second hour where second chance breakfast is served, it's a real problem navigating through that area. So we identified this problem first by experiencing it. As someone who has class next hour in a classroom in that area, I had a first-hand experience of just having to move and navigate through this area. And a lot of my classmates also have identified this. But we did a lot of customer discovery with our fellow classmates, over 100 people, to see if they also identified with this problem and if they identified with our solutions or what solutions they could have. So the steps, we first came up with solutions with the school as a whole. We had an idea of extending an overhang, doing a lot of stuff, but if you think about it, it's a school. You've got hundreds of kids walking around in a building. It's unrealistic to expect there to be no congestion or no obstacles when going from place to place. So we decided to focus on a place where this was not reasonable, where it isn't a sort of like, oh, it's a minor problem, to a thing where you're like, this isn't good, this is having negative effects. Because as a student, when you're late, it's counted against you. If you're late enough times, you get detention. These are like, things matter. So teachers are losing time, their students are losing time. And when you have a place where you're struggling to get to a place on time, then that's a real problem. It's not just, this person's walking really slow in front of me and I wish they'd hurry up before I step on the backs of their shoe. It's more, hey, there's a bunch of people and I'm just standing here and I can't get through. So we talked to the lunch staff at our school about what sort of needs these breakfast carts have. Because it's a bottleneck and you have your cart, and it's just a line, and it's not just everyone standing all nice and neat in a line, and it's like, oh, no, you. It's a 3-person chunk of people wanting food, and they're teenagers too. And it's free, like, come on. Everyone's just wanting to get here. So it's not all polite and neat. This is a mob. Some people are trying to get through. Some people are just waiting in this line. And this line is massive, so moving it also has the benefit of hopefully having shorter lines, because people are late to class for also waiting in these lines. So it's just a mob of people in this close-quartered space. So we talked to the lunch staff about, well, why hasn't this been moved? What sort of requirements does it have? And these carts need Wi-Fi and a place to plug in to have this sort of thing running. So we talked to Miss Bauer, who is a tech specialist at our school, about, well, where are these routers? Where are these outlets? How many of each do we have? So right now we're working on finding the best place to cause little to no congestion, to like just finding a better place. Anywhere else, honestly. So our solution is moving this breakfast cart to a less problematic location. If there's other problems, maybe just like putting solutions to that too, so that there's no places where it's becoming a problem where it's affecting people negatively again and again. So our steps moving forward is deciding on a spot to move it and then coordinating the Wi-Fi and other necessities to that place. And that's about it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I ask? So are you guaranteed the cooperation of the administration on this?
I'd say that.
Should we tell them the story about this one?
Yeah, I think.
So I became aware of this because I was actually doing an observation in a class when the kids came in and said, can we talk to you about an issue, and surveyed the class while I was in there. And then they all walked out, and I think I followed you guys all the way down to your class, and I was like, listen, let's talk about this, because it is, as adults, we haven't figured it out. Like, we've shifted the cart several different places, and so I just said to you, right, I was really intrigued about the $1 million expansion of the hallway. That was really cool.
I would like to mention I was not a part of the group at that time. That was not my particular brainchild, but
yes, so I will tell you, this is one of those, I mean, both of these projects are really super cool, and you can kind of see why we're really excited about this course. But here's a problem that we have in our class, that the adults have tried several different things, and the kids are like, all right, it's our shot at it. And I think it's really cool that they're doing it. So yes, they do actually have our support.
Very good. Excellent.
Chuck.
you're going to count like being late against a student, and you're not trying your best to make it easy for them. You kind of need to support them in that, in trying their best to like be good and getting everything done, like doing things right.
Absolutely.
Good for you.
Chuck, you know I'm going to say something smart, right?
You
Do you know that it's legal? It's legal for school board members to audit your course? Did you know that?
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll see you tomorrow.
Okay. I think Thursday there's a big presentation
Yes, so
day,
if any of you would like to come Thursday at 7:50 in my room, A173, their students are actually going to give their full pitch to their classmates, where you'll also be given a feedback form to give them, so give them some authentic feedback. And I think from our practices, You do not have to hold any punches when talking to these students.
We've given them all we got.
Yeah.
So school board's invited Thursday morning.
Yes.
They did it at
First
7:15.
I even have a coffee pot. We can brew coffee for everybody.
Oh, wow.
I think what's so important about this work is that not only is it just driven by student interest. I'm in class, and just one funny thing was Lily come up to me and she goes, "I've called 4 different places. I'm trying to find the price of rebar." And I was like, I don't know. And so what's really nice to me is that if students are given a chance to answer a problem that they care about, they are going to do the work. I feel like just a facilitator most of the days, because they say, "Mr. G, we need to go find where the Wi-Fi hotspots are." I'm like, okay, go do it. I don't know where they are. And then my personal favorite is it makes these kids the expert on the issue. So like even before this meeting, me and Chuck and Adiana were sitting back there, and Chuck leaned forward and goes, so what have you guys found out so far? Because I think the last time he was in our room was maybe 2 weeks ago, and they had a total different mindset than they do now. And so he's leaning in. So how are we going to solve this problem? Because making the students the expert is only going to empower them and actually drive their education. The 2 groups that couldn't join us tonight, one is actually working on replacing the plastic bags at the secondary building because of they've been doing research on microplastics, so they want to replace it with either a paper solution or no solution at all. And so I'm waiting with bated breath for that. And then we have another group exploring the idea of open lunch. And so if you guys come on Thursday, you'll get to experience all 4 different problems and hopefully the student solutions to those.
So we would love to have you come up and shake the hands of the school board. We have a small gift for you up here, too.
Very small.
Come up. Not just me. Thank you.
Principals can join in.
Great job. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
Thank you. Very educational. Sticker for your car window.
I love how you call them innovators.
They are innovators.
so great.
They're the ones who are so
Yeah.
I knew her when.
Really?
Thanks for giving up your evening. and coming in.
Nice job. And if you ever
For
need
your
any
car
help, my
window.
brother works for MnDOT. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, sure. Congratulations. What a great idea.
Nice job.
Love smart kids.
Isn't she? Absolutely.
And I love how it's just like at those certain.
Well, I dare say that's much more interesting than approving the minutes and the agendas. So
Sure.
that was a great presentation, very interesting. We'll move on now to Dr. Webb and his superintendent's report, including the district highlights.
Well, good evening. That was tough to beat. I'll let Lisa jump in with just to see our students. So what you got 10 minutes there is a really good taste of IB learners. So, and he used the example of just low-level learning about just numbers and facts, or high-level learning about application and problem-solving and being creative and expressive. So that's really what the world needs. So whether you're heading into the world of work or a 2-year or 4-year program, we want to launch kids well to prepare them for their future. So those were 2 pretty great examples tonight. So. Sure. We have just had a wonderful meeting just before this meeting tonight. We had our committee of the whole meeting, and we started with a staffing overview, had a chance to go into finance. We continue to talk about the Thompson 19th property, and we'll be working with the Planning Commission and then the City Council in the month of November. We also brought in our leader from Equity Alliance, our partner in equity leadership, and we have a new equity leader for all of our East Metro Collaborative. His name is Sebastian Witherspoon, just a highly energetic and engaging gentleman. And then we also had an enrollment update. In 2 weeks, we'll be bringing that enrollment update here to the full board and our community. So we're engaged with that, and we capped it off just at the previous meeting with our board community engagement committee. So we have 2 sessions in November that we are going to be promoting, and you'll see lots of promotion. One is on November 6th, and I have a slide in here in just a minute about that, but it's a community conversation really about mental health. What you're seeing, at least I'm seeing on television more these days, is the University of Minnesota Gopher football team having an event and a night just to try to promote keeping the conversation about mental health at the forefront. It's trying to reduce the stigma of that. So let me get into the PowerPoint here, and I'll highlight the work of our community engagement committee. October is our not only Orange Month, but it's our Unity Month, our anti-bullying month, and our graphics people and communications people are doing just great work from around the district, capturing the good things happening in our schools. So just a shout out for all of our students and staff leading that work. Our Kaposia team recently won a $1,000 grant from the old National Bank, used to be Anchor Bank, for the 2019 Tools for Schools grant campaign. So a shout out to them for getting $1,000 coming directly to Kaposia. We have an upcoming theater presentation November 8th, 9th, and 10th. They're going to present Once Upon a Mattress, and if you haven't seen the show, it's a great show and a lot of fun. So try to get your tickets. You can get those early at the phone number listed on the screen or the website. And this is what I was talking about earlier. We are going to have a collaborative conversation with our city, with our county, and with the school district to continue to share and discuss. We'll have a short presentation about mental health, but we'll have a panel presentation about mental health. And we have to keep talking about it because 1 in 5 people in our community and across the country struggle with mental health issues and concerns. So we'll learn more, talk more, support more on the 6th. And we'll also have another evening later in November that we'll highlight for you, another evening in December, so much more to come. We have a list of community events on the right-hand side. I like the little theme that they have, throw kindness like confetti. Pretty great. Our school board meeting minutes can always be found at our website, and we'll go back to you, Chris.
Thank you, Dr. Webb. Next, we'll move on to start the business items with the consent agenda, which is made up of the financial claims and the staffing. Do I have a motion for their approval?
So moved.
Thank you. And a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion?
Just one thing, Chair Walker, I will be abstaining from this vote tonight.
Thank you for letting us know that. Any other discussion? Hey, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. The consent agenda is approved. There's nothing coming forward on policy for this evening. So the next is for the South St. Paul School Board to approve the acceptance of gifts resolution, which will be read and moved by Patty.
Okay. Be it resolved that the School Board of South St. Paul Public Schools, Special School District Number 6, accept the following donation as indicated below. A donation amount of $10,000 designated to Lincoln Center. Donation is from the Lincoln Center PTA, and its purpose is for a new playground. There you go.
Very good, thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion?
I would. $10,000 coming out of a PTA is pretty amazing.
That's
so just
spectacular.
a shout out to all the parents and their hard work for pulling together to raise $10,000 for the Lincoln Center playground. And the playground's beautiful. So way to go, way to be great partners.
Indeed. It is a very nice playground, and as you say, to come up with that kind of funding out of the PTA is pretty special. So thanks as always. Any other discussion? If not, Wendy, will you please call the roll?
Inspector Aaron?
Yes.
Inspector Lalaberty?
Yes.
Inspector Diaz?
Yes.
Inspector Bjorklund?
Yes.
Inspector McClellan?
Yes.
Inspector Felton says yes. Inspector Walker?
Yes.
7 yeas.
Thank you. That resolution is approved. Next is for the South St. Paul School Board to approve the resolution for a one-year extension commitment to Equity Alliance Minnesota Collaborative with the intent to withdraw from the collaborative effective July 1st, 2021. Do I have, that will be read and moved by Linda.
Be it resolved by the School Board of Special School District Number 6 that notice continued to be given to the East Metro Integration District / Equity Alliance Minnesota that District 6 intends to withdraw its membership from EMID Equity Alliance Minnesota Joint Powers Agreement and its participation in the EMID Equity Alliance Collaborative. The notice of withdrawal shall be effective on June 30th, 2021. Be it further resolved, said notice of withdrawal shall be in the form of this resolution sent to EMID members via its Board of Directors.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion?
Maybe just a little bit of explanation for community members. So every year we have the same letter along with many of our partners that just say we want to put in our card to be members again for another year. But this letter, the way it's always written, always sounds like in a year we're pulling out. We just always want to reserve the right to pull out of that partnership if it's not serving us well or if the state defunds the integration funding statewide. So it double protects the district.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Wendy, please call the roll.
Inspector McClellan?
Yes.
Inspector Bjorklund?
Yes.
Inspector Diaz?
Yes.
Inspector Lalaberty?
Yes.
Inspector Aaron?
Yes.
Inspector Felton says yes. Inspector Walker?
Yes.
7 yeas.
Thank you. The resolution is approved. And the last item is for the South St. Paul School Board to approve the revised substitute rates for the 2019-20 school year. Do I have a motion for that approval?
So moved.
Thank you. And a second?
Second.
All right, thank you. Any discussion?
Maybe just one fun fact is this will allow us to have kind of long-term in-building subs in the district. So we're excited about that shift and partnership with our teachers union, and we think it's a win-win for staff and our students.
Thank you. Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? And that motion passes. That is the end of the business portion of the meeting. We'll move on to the informational items on the board member reports, and we'll start off to my right with Linda.
The only thing I have is I'm excited to be out on Marie Avenue in a couple days for the great Halloween get-together. So look for me. I will have a big iridescent witch's hat. So hopefully we'll see people. Lots of people.
Thank
And we'll
you.
have treats.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. That'll be worth the trip. And Patty?
And we'll be giving out treats at our house. So there'll be treats being given out all over the place. So come on over. That's all I got.
Right.
I'm looking forward to Halloween too. I'll be there with Linda, so.
Great.
Very good. Thank you. Nikki?
Nothing at this time.
All right. And Bill?
Well, if I learned anything from my wife, it's don't buy Halloween treats too early because they're not going to last. So after my second visit to the store, I've got plenty of treats for the kids in the area, and I look forward to people coming and tricks or treating.
Excellent. All right. Thank you. And Wendy?
I just want to piggyback on a couple things Dr. Webb said too for the high school play, which is next week. I have my tickets ordered. If you haven't done it, be sure you get those ahead of time. As always, I say senior citizens in our community can go for free. However, you must reserve your tickets. You can go online. And just a congratulations to our football team who are going into the finals for the sections this coming weekend. We support them, and we wish them best of luck in their efforts. And also, the month of October, as we've talked about several times, is Bullying Prevention Month. And I just want to thank everyone who participated in supporting these causes, and that hopefully what we've talked about, discussed, and what everybody has learned will stay with everyone throughout the whole year, not only the month of October. So thank you for everybody participating and supporting that program. And also, coming up before our next board meeting, just a reminder, on Monday, November 11th, which is Veterans Day, Kaposia Education Center on the south end of town always does their veterans program. So for further information, please see the Kaposia Education website. There's information there. If you have a veteran in your family that you would like to see honored and recognized, you can go to their website, and there is a form that you can print out and get sent into the school so that your family member can be recognized on the Veterans Day program. And because Veterans Day is on Monday, our board meeting, next board meeting will be held on Tuesday evening, the 12th, not our normal Monday night meeting that we have. So just be aware that it will be Tuesday, the 12th, our next board meeting. And I also, too, will be on Marie Avenue for Halloween. Looking forward to that. And Linda and I are going to look a lot alike, I think.
Did we get the same hat? That's embarrassing.
With our witches' costumes. And it is going to be a cold night. It's going to be 30 degrees or less. So I know everybody will be dressed really warm. So just look for us and feel free to contact us, and let's have some great conversations. Thank you.
Sounds good. Thank you, Wendy. We have no supplemental agenda this evening, so I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
And a second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Then the motion passes, and we are adjourned.